Hi everyone, this is Troy Dreyer of StreamingMedia.com coming to you from NAB 2015, and I'm so pleased to be talking to some of the big newsmakers here on the show floor. I'm joined by Albert Lai, CTO for Media at Brightcove. Welcome, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to just talk about some of the big issues facing our industry right now. Consumers are demanding more in their video. They want everything in every place. They have high expectations. But what does this mean for traditional broadcasters? How are they adapting to this?
So the conversations that I've had with our broadcast customers worldwide, they are going through a transition. And that transition is both internally as well as externally. Internally, from an organizational point of view, you've typically had a separation between the broadcast teams and people versus the digital people who were in some cases treated as almost second-class citizens. But it wasn't just organizational, it was also the budgets, the systems, the workflows. So for those companies that understand this transition, this evolution that's happening at a very rapid pace, they realize that they have to rethink what it means to be a broadcast/digital company. That means removing those barriers so they can think about delivering content to their consumer, not about which system did it originate from or what format it's in. And so that really means many of these customers who are forward-thinking to relook at their infrastructure, making decisions on, are they going to spend another $1 million or more on-premise encoding? Is that really what their core IP is? Or should they utilize other capabilities like cloud encoding? And is that something that they can benefit from and take that money and that focus and focus on other added value? Externally, from a user perspective, they also have to determine, well, how do they take this content and offer it to their consumers? The easiest way of thinking about it is to just copy and paste. Take the broadcast model of content and advertising and monetization and just do the same thing on digital. 30-second ads, being able to offer that out as, just as it is. And that really hasn't worked. And so they now see this audience out there that wants content anytime, anywhere, on any device, and they have to challenge themselves to determine how can they effectively deliver that to them while also maintaining a viable business model.
Mm-hmm. So are they adapting big new workflows to process everything for both markets, both audiences?
I think the more aggressive and forward-thinking broadcasters and media companies, what they're doing is just rethinking and challenging themselves as to what should they be focused on. A lot of the questions and changes that we've seen, and people have said this to me, they've asked themselves, well, what are they? What type of company are they? Are they a technology company and they need to be hiring software developers, teams, dozens, hundreds, and building core software for video delivery? Or actually, are they a content company? Mm-hmm. And is their long-term goal to acquire the best content, distribute that, monetize it, and is that their business? And I think that the ones that would be the most successful will determine that they are content companies, that their focus should be on how to effectively deliver that great content to their audience. Mm-hmm. And if there are technology vendors out there, utilize those, and they don't have to be wedded to the traditional broadcast workflows and assumptions around on-premise software and hardware.
I wonder a lot about broadcasters. I mean, now we're seeing so many devices, besides mobile devices, set-top box devices, Apple TV and Roku, and you've got all this WWE network and Sling and TV and all these services feeding us online content. Is there a future for broadcast? I mean, does it matter? Does it have a future?
Well, it's interesting. I think that we're seeing almost a race between several different groups within the ecosystem. You have the content programmers that have licensed their content to the operators and are making billions of dollars off of these carriage agreements, but they don't have direct control of that consumer. And so some of them, like WWE, are reaching out and providing these OTT services directly to the consumer. HBO now just launching and doing the same. It is a risky but exciting endeavor. Mm-hmm. From the operator side, they are also trying to control, owning the living room. That's kind of been their default. And so they also have to understand, well, how do they take this content and offer it out to their subscribers when they typically can only control what happens within the homestead, but customers want to watch on a plane, in a car, on a bus, at work, on their game console, not just on a set-top box. But one of the most interesting things in this kind of race is that as we think about these two participants as well as the pure digital folks, whether it's an Apple or a Netflix that are participating in this, is that it's all about access at the end of the day. Even if I am able to subscribe to many of the OTT services and I want to watch this on my phone or on my iPad, I need to be able to have access to it. And if I'm out of the home, I'm using, let's in my case, Verizon. And if I watch 3 Netflix shows at high def, I've eaten up my entire plan. And I've done that, and I've gone into a $100 overage in one afternoon.
Yikes.
That's an expensive endeavor for a consumer. But within the home, where a lot of this OTT services are being delivered, well, who controls that fixed pipe? It's actually the pay TV operators. So they're actually in a very advantageous position, just fundamentally from an access point of view.
Now you touch on mobile in that answer. I've been seeing study after study all year about the growth of mobile, how fast it's growing. People are watching more and more on mobile. It's eclipsed desktop, I think. Is mobile now the first screen?
For many of our customers, they certainly saw that trend and that shift happen last year, where the majority of their traffic was not originating from desktop. It was mobile or other devices. Is mobile the only screen? Is it the primary screen? Well, it's an important screen. And I think that as content owners think about how that video and the monetization model, how that is offered, they have to think about the different screens available to the consumer, whether it's the television experience, the mobile experience, the connected television experience in the home, or a game console. So now, is mobile the only or the primary? For now, it probably is, and it's a very important device because pretty much everyone has probably at least one. And so content programmers have to think about what does it mean for a consumer to consume on that device? What does it mean when that consumption happens in the home or out of home?
But what are the mobile viewers going to do with those overage charges?
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting question, because at this point when we think about mobile, we think about the issue of it's Wi-Fi, but in reality it's not, and it's expensive. I think one of the interesting trends that may happen is a whole discussion about spectrum. Right? There's a lot of spectrum out there. Google has spectrum that they were rumored to be trying to sell. You had T-Mobile going after spectrum to try to allocate more. So there may be ways that we can help figure out this issue of access to charges and overages. I hope that one is solved.
I have a grandfathered unlimited data plan, and I'm never letting it go. I'm never letting it go, just for that reason. Social networking is such a big part of how we watch TV now. How is the new future of streamed entertainment going to affect social networking?
Well, in the past, Twitter, YouTube were, I'd say, one of the the primary mechanisms for delivering content within a social audience. You just had Facebook a couple of weeks ago announce the ability for content owners to upload directly into Facebook. They announced that at F8. But then you also have other social platforms like Snapchat that have created a business, a very healthy business, with rumored CPMs north of $100. And I think the great thing about that is video can be distributed, consumed, and monetized across all these different audiences, but you really need to think about what does it mean for a particular social audience. So within Snapchat, going back to our mobile discussion, well, most of these users are swiping, they're taking pictures, they've got their phone in their hand. Well, how do you consume video? Well, in the broadcast world, it's 16:9. That's the default. In the Snapchat world, it's portrait, which means that not only should you be creating content that's tailored for that aspect ratio and for that audience, but your advertisements should be tailored as well. And if you do it right, like Snapchat has, there is great engagement. People have been very, surprised and excited about what they've done as a platform.
Let's wrap this up with some product announcements. I know you just released a new version of Once VOD and Once Live. Maybe you could tell us about the new features and what else Brightcove has in the works.
Sure. We announced the general availability of Once VOD 2.0. This enables our broadcast customers and other media customers to, using server-side technology, dynamically insert advertisements into content, which can then be delivered to any device. And this really facilitates, it makes it easier to deliver not just to a desktop experience, but mobile web, mobile apps, game consoles, connected televisions. We introduced a new set of APIs, which makes it easier for our customers to adopt this technology. And we're also now utilizing Zencoder, which is our cloud transcoding service that we purchased a couple of years ago. And that has become the heart of that technology and helps scale it and makes it even faster and more optimal for our publishers. We also announced Once Live 2.0, and that's available in beta for our customers. We have many customers worldwide that host live events, whether it's a conference, it's a sporting event, or they have the rights to 24/7 simulcast, and they want to be able to monetize that live content. And using Once Live 2.0, this will enable them to do a very similar method of server-side ads insertion in the cloud and delivering that to multiple devices.
Now, your company has its own show coming up soon, right? And you're going to have some more product announcements then?
Yeah, so every year we've held what's called Brightcove Play, where we invite customers worldwide. It gives us the ability to give them a hint of what's to come, but it's also a great opportunity for us to showcase the different shared best practices. So we invite a lot of our customers, a lot of our partners, a lot of other industry leaders, but most importantly, it also gives us an opportunity to showcase our partner ecosystem. We feel that for us it's really important for us to grow into that platform model, and that means working with best-in-class providers. And so that Play conference also gives our customers and prospects the ability to see how our ecosystem has developed and how people have built really interesting and innovative solutions on top of Brightcove.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be looking forward to that then. Well, thank you for joining me, Albert. This is Troy Dreyer coming to you from NAB 2015.